All right, we are live. So we are Heartrepreneur TV Live. This is our first show. I'm your host, Velma Gallant, and I am so grateful to Terry Levine for allowing me to participate with her and be able to share all of these amazing guests with you coming up. I am so excited to be sharing our very first guest with you. Her name is Lisa Winston. Now, Lisa is a #1 best-selling author. She's an inspirational speaker, TV show host, pro vocalist, artist, and a mom. A life of extreme challenges, including losing her home to wildfire, breast cancer, and neural Lyme disease, has made Lisa hungry for deeper connection to her inner guidance and to support others in building their resilience as well. Yeah, that would definitely build resilience and creating more ease, flow, and joy in their lives. Today, she's doing this through helping people heal and grow through creativity. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, how creativity opens you up to all possibility. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about this conversation today.
Well, I've been following you for a little while. I've been connected to your partner Joe for years, and well, just automatically it showed up with all of your beauty, and it was like I have to know what Lisa is all about. So, um, I see you expressing your creativity in a variety of ways. How has that supported you with opening up to flow and intuition and everything?
Well, that's a great question because, I was a singer for over 4 years now. And I stopped singing about 3 years ago when I moved to Texas to be with Joe. And then I fell ill with neuro Lyme disease. And so everything kind of was the great halt, right? And then the pandemic. So we've all been in that space. But I really realized that, and I've been a watercolor painter for about probably 25, 30 years plus, and I've been an artist
Mhm.
for most of my life. But when I stopped doing my creative stuff and started building my business, and this is when I left my a toxic 15-year relationship, I left San Diego, I left my daughter. I said, go get a job and move in with some, friends. And I really left everything that I knew, even my music career, because I knew there was something greater for me. Like there's a soul
Mhm.
purpose I was looking for. What's my true, purpose? Because I'd been on the spiritual path for quite a while because I was in a lot of pain. You know how that goes. And so when I gave it up, I was so busy building my business that kept me busy. I was exhausted, but I couldn't figure out why I was so tired and everything seemed so heavy and it seemed so hard. Now, when we build a business, it is hard. And especially when we have to come out and be visible for the first time, really in a big way,
Mhm.
right? And learning new things and all that. And that's when you really hit walls, which is great. You grow. But what I came to learn about myself is that I am a creative. I don't even have that other side of my brain, like the math, the science, forget it. Like I'm all creative, unfortunately. And I am sensitive. I'm a sensitive, intuitive empath. So building my business from a masculine perspective with that push really was hurting me physically, emotionally, spiritually, and otherwise. I felt like it was killing me, really. So,
Mhm.
then I got comfortable in a couple different places, but again, I was not utilizing my creative, expression at all, really. And
Mhm.
so anyway, fast forward to now, it was funny because I started dabbling in my watercolor again. I'm just like, the business stuff is just not lighting me up anymore. It's not. So I'm going to get back to my watercolor. So I bought a bunch of stuff and I kept sitting there for weeks and weeks. And I'm like, I need to do my watercolor. It wasn't lighting me up. Well, I happened to have this conversation with an old client from about, 7 years before. And he showed me this new form of painting, this flow painting, this pour painting, acrylic pour painting, and I went nuts. Like I literally went nuts. And shortly thereafter, I had this download, this intuitive download that I was supposed to actually do this. I had a knowing. And of course, then all my old stuff came up. You can't make money doing what you love. You're going to be a starving artist, all those things that we live with
Mhm.
in the music world, any kind of creative world. But I decided to follow my gut because I knew that I knew, number one, being sick with neurolyme for 2.5 years and everything, when you have any chronic illness, on top of the stress and anxiety of the pandemic, which we all have, and people
Yep.
have lost all this heavy stuff. We have got to do something that nourishes us, that elevates our vibrations, that brings us joy, because otherwise we're going to all get sick and just croak way early, you know? And so when I started doing that, I just thought, oh, and I was dabbling in my business a little bit. I still am writing my book. I'm still doing a lot of different.
Mm-hmm.
But what I started doing was I started doing what I love, what lit me up, which is my painting much more often. And that's what I'm doing now. And I realized all I really want to do is paint. So you got to do what you love, because that is what brings you life. That is what brings you income. I'm writing a little ebook I'm finishing it today. It's called Wealth Without Resistance. And that's
Ooh.
the no resistance part, right? So it's so critically important that we get in touch with that piece.
Well, and it makes me wonder, because I'm a firm believer that there are no coincidences. There are coinciding incidents, but
Yes.
they're not coincidences. And I find it fascinating that what triggered your creativity was something called flow
Right.
painting.
Yeah, but Joe just reminded me, he's like, because I'm doing pour painting classes, right? Beginning, and he's like,
Mhm.
don't say pour, because even though you're saying pour, it's POUR, the universe is hearing pour paintings. So, I'm doing flow, like wealth paintings or whatever it is. But it's funny because you have to watch your speech too, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's interesting what kind of connections like that end up showing up, because I mean you've always been creative, and being able to access that in a new way is is just brilliant. We've got a few people popping in and saying hello. This is awesome. Hi Denise. Hi Terry. Glad you're popping in. So yeah, and
Said
I
Terry,
think what
love you too.
I think what's really important to note, though, is how obvious, and I know you caught this, but I want our audience to catch this, how obvious it is when we are out of alignment, because those things do feel heavy. And so when it starts feeling heavy like that, what kind of questions can we start asking? What kind of things can we start doing to trigger that creativity and bring that flow back in?
Well, that's a great question. We should always question everything, even our beliefs when they come up. But when you start feeling heavy, you have to be honest with yourself. I think we need to give ourselves permission to get out of the stuffy adult syndrome, because that's what we're in, right? A lot of times, like my daughter's 27, and people have grown kids, or even people with little kids sometimes they're like, I don't like to play. I don't want to play. That's for kids. Play is for kids. But the problem is that we are co-creators. We are creative at our very core. Everything comes in. Look at our chakras, the sacral chakra, the root chakra, all to do with creativity, all to do with rebirth, all to do with these amazing things. And so I really believe that one of the reasons that we get sick is because, we close off to that. So I would start
Mhm.
asking questions like, um, does this really feel good, what I'm doing? Well, how does it feel in my body? What am I thinking when I'm doing it? How does it feel when I'm trying to create things? I mean, is it really hard and heavy? Because there's always a learning curve when you're learning something new, right? But if it continues to be really difficult and really heavy, and for me as a sensitive, my body felt heavy. My body felt, it hurt, it just hurt. And I was exhausted all the time. So it's kind of like, what is that? What's really going on for me? And then I would ask questions like, if you're not really willing to be creative, why not? Did something happen to you when you were a kid? Like it happened to my daughter. She was graded on an art project that she loved and told that she didn't do a very good job, and it shut her down. She's now
Mm.
a metalsmith, but it took her 20 some years to get over that initial "you suck at art" kind of thing that came in. So did that happen? Or are you afraid? I mean, being creative doesn't mean you have to do painting. You can sing, you can dance, you can garden, you can be a graphic artist, but you have to do something that you love. Is am I doing something that is bringing in joy? Like
Mhm.
kids, we play in the sandbox for hours and we wouldn't get out because like it was mindless, amazing play. We don't do that anymore. We have to be responsible. So start asking questions around everything that's going on. And again, if you don't want to be creative, and I think this goes for a lot of men, I see a lot of women getting acquainted with their creativity, but I see some men doing it, but not as many. It's like, why not? Do you think that creativity is, feminine? We all have feminine, masculine aspects of ourselves anyway. But this isn't about that. It's about opening to your flow.
Well, and how many of us, there was a couple of things in there that I really connected with. So you were talking about like the heaviness, and I know for myself that is one of my guiding principles when it comes to anything. If I get that light excitement, it's a yes. And if I get like, there's sometimes where the no is so heavy that I feel like my legs are going to fall through the floor. That's how heavy I get. And it's like, that is a solid no. Don't even question it.
That's a stop right there.
Oh, and it's amazing when those come in. And for myself, it's interesting to note um, how often I ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh,
Why
yeah,
is that?
Denise.
Why is that? That's one of the questions. Why am I ignoring it? Like we have a sense of it, right? But why are we pushing it to the side?
Well, exactly. And I think too, I think it's what I've noticed too for myself is when I get creative, it might even be creativity that has nothing to do with my business. But
Right.
the minute I do that, it's like it opens the switch to allow more creative ideas to come in inside of my business as well.
Yes. I love that. It is a switch. I mean, it's really getting you out of resistance and again, aligned with flow. Elevated vibrations again are what bring you inspiration, inspirational ideas. They bring you health, they bring you wealth, they bring you this flow from the universal mind. Because if you're stuck in your human mind, right, remember our human mind only knows what happened before in the past. It doesn't know anything, from the universal mind. So if you're stuck in that incessant loop in your poor little mind from your wounds and your past and all that, then you're pretty much pulling your energy down, your vibrations way, way down. And so, when you create, now the funny thing is though, Velma, is that when I started doing this new medium of pouring, I was really inspired and I was getting ideas at night in my dreams. And then all of a sudden, like right now, actually, I'm going to be truthful with everybody. I'm hitting a block. I'm also writing a book. I'm doing some other business things. And so a lot of times I can't intermix the two when I'm focused on, getting something done.
Mm-hmm.
But so you will hit blocks because what starts happening is that we are so controlling. Like at our very core, we're controlling. It's just what we do, right? So we're trying to paint a picture. Mine's abstract now. What I do is abstract now. And it's like I can't control the outcome. And sometimes I don't always like the outcome, right?
Ooh.
So you have to give yourself permission to experiment, to play, have fun. And by the way, if we have time, I have a couple of great ideas for people to start working on that, bringing both hemispheres of the brain together and some other things. But effortless play, effortless anything gets you
Mm-hmm.
ahead. It gets you out of resistance. And that's what makes everything move forward.
Right. So, I heard you talking about elevating your vibrations. And one of the things that I know is when I'm playing, my vibration is up. It can't help but be up because I'm in the creativity, I'm in the fun, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling joy. And so one of the words that I coined about 10 years ago was plurk. Play
Mm,
plus work. So when I'm in my business, I'm plurking because I'm still playing while I work.
yeah.
And I think that's so important when it comes to, your vibrational alignment that you're speaking of. And I think the other thing that you talked about was effortless play.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to note because it's like, I'm going to play.
Right.
It's not effortless.
Yeah, and what's funny? It seems counterproductive. Like the state of being as opposed to doing seems like we are not getting anything done. It seems so counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish. But if you've ever taken, just a few minutes to sit in silence or meditation, or
Mhm.
just they say a lot of times if you're really tired of working, get up and take a walk. Just get away from it for a little while because it really does allow you to get more done and to get more ideas. So it's not counterproductive at all. It's critical, I think, to your business and everything.
I think it is too, because I know when I start burning the candle at both ends, the amount of time I put in might increase, but
Yeah,
the quality of that time goes down. So is it really worthwhile to be pushing myself like that?
exactly.
So push or play.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to show everybody, if I could, I just want to show what I'm talking about. Like what I do is, this is just one of many. But
Hmm.
if you do things like this, you can't control it. And so I feel like really getting into creativity really requires you to do something that you want to control, but you can't control. I think you should do it as a practice, right?
Ooh, I think that's really good because I know I do like to control. You
Because if
can speak t
well, yeah, but I mean, like if we're doing watercolor painting or we're drawing, right? We're controlling it. I do that with my
Mhm.
watercolor painting, but I control everything. So I think we're being called to go out. Let me just share, like finger painting. Anybody can do it. Any age, any sex, anybody can do it. Do something that's stupid fun. It's just like mindless, crazy. No, there's no rhyme or reason. You can't control it. Fun, because if you get into something that you can control, you're not going to learn to surrender and let go.
I think that is probably the one of the most important aspects when you're talking about the creativity opening you up to possibilities, because when we're in control, like we see what's in front of us and we see what we've chosen to put our eyes on. But when we allow that flow and the creativity and the things we can't control, um, those things that we don't control start showing up,
Oh boy.
right?
Right. Yeah, they really do. And it's like everything else in life. Like even my book, I wrote about it. It was like, you know, if you don't start seeing the signs, if you don't start listening to the messages, you're going to continue to get them, but then you're going to get bigger ones like me, the 2x4, the universal 2x4s. And so, not that life is going to just stop, throwing you curveballs, because it's not. I mean, that's what happens in our lives, right? So we can grow and change. But I still think you'll get less. When you get the lessons, you get less of them.
Well, and I think they move from being the 2x4s to just a pitch,
Right? Yes.
right?
Yes, I love that. Yeah. Little baby
So,
turning points instead of really big
yeah,
ones.
softball instead of hardball.
That's exactly right. That's great.
So, I think it's really, I think it's really important for us to pay attention to that because, especially as adults, we are kind of trained into the control and that kind of thing. I mean, I tried controlling my child, that didn't work. Tried controlling partners, that didn't work. Tried controlling my business, that didn't work.
Yeah.
And, honestly, allowing that creativity to come into my essence, my being, definitely creates some interesting shifts. I
Absolutely.
just get to notice different things.
Yes. And if I can share something too, um, I have a lot of different mentors, and just because we all need them as we're
Hmm.
growing. But future gratitude, I've learned that over the years, but it came full circle again. I was in a couple of courses and media courses, and I'm friends with a woman who went from 0 to 6 figures in 8 months. She has 7 kids, divorced, she's an artist. So she's really a friend and a mentor.
Hmm.
But it was interesting. We always want the magic pill, right? Want everything to change.
Hmm.
Boop, presto, bingo. Like I work with some coaching clients, and they're like, "Well, I'm not getting value from what you're telling me." Well, are you doing the work? No, they're not doing the work. They want somebody to fix them. And so when you commit to doing things like my friend Jessica, which I want to share, this is one process I want everybody out there to do. It's called Future Gratitude. She has over 17 journals in the last 8 months of future gratitude written. And she said,
Wow.
and she's reading, there's a book that she suggested many books to me. Let me give them both to you because this is my journey. The upside, can you see it? The upside of stress,
There.
why stress is good for you and how to get good at it. Kelly McGonigal, PhD, great book. Also, this one, if you are creative, Creative Alchemy by Victoria Fan. This one is gold. Okay, so start reading about what it is you want to change. I mean, again, change can happen in an instant, but for real, we're humans and we have to learn stuff. And so future gratitude is like, I want to have a big studio. I have a studio right now, but I want a big one, with floor to ceiling windows and light and space for big, huge canvases and supplies and people buying my products and galleries and all that, right? So if I'm going to do future gratitude, I can say it, speak it, and or write it, or, like I said, it's good to do both. But I would say something like, oh my God, I am so excited and grateful that I have the most incredible art studio that I mean, it's like a miracle, truly. And I'm able to sell my paintings to people all over the world. And I'm displaying my things, in gallery showings. And I just, so you just act as if it's already happened. And just in speaking that right now to you, every time I do it, it is creating energy. It is creating what it is I want. I feel my vibrations start to elevate. And so often, we'll do something and we'll write something once or twice. Yeah, I want this or whatever. It's like, well, I don't feel anything. Well, nothing's changing. Well, that's because it takes 30 to 60 days to create a new habit. And it also, even for affirmations, right? If you continue to do them, you'll raise your vibrations. You'll have a shift of some sort that will lead you to wherever you're supposed to go. So try something like that to elevate your vibes about what you love. Try playing the game of just elevation. What can I do that seems fun? It's a game I'm going to play. Because even if you don't want to create right now, a lot of times that can open you up to your inspiration, your intuition. You'll start getting ideas. You'll start getting really excited. Some random thing will pop in, like you said, you were talking about synchronicities and coincidences, right? Somebody will show up or whatever. But if you're not
Yep.
playing the game, if you're not plugged in, it's going to be real hard to hear that.
Exactly. Exactly. So you mentioned that you're finishing writing up a book. Can we get a little sneak
Sure.
about that?
Yeah, it's taken me a while, but I had to get all the pieces, kind of like my first one. It took a lot of, it just sometimes you have to have all the pieces together before you can bring it together. But my book that I'm writing right now is called Be Brave Enough. It's just for today.
Ooh.
Because oftentimes we think, well, we have to be courageous all the time. Well, no, we don't. I mean, things happen, and in the moment when they happen, you're pretty courageous. Like, you show up and you do stuff that you wouldn't normally do because the need is there, right? So
Yeah.
really being brave enough is just one baby step at a time, 1 second at a time, one moment at a time. So I go through and I share my story about the last 2.5 years, 3 years, Joe's divorce and neuro Lyme and the pandemic and all these things, these crazy things that make it feel like, 3 years has been 20. And then I also talk about reinventing myself, which I've done many times. But again, I'm almost
Mhm.
63. And now again, I'm being directed to do just my painting and workshops and things like that. So being brave enough to take risks, being brave enough to show up for your life, whatever that looks like. And again, just at one moment at a time. That's all it takes. And so that's kind of the premise of, that's what's happening in the book. And I'll give lots of examples. Uh,
Oh, I really like that because, we all have those events. I mean, even beyond the past 3 years and the experiences that you've had with that. I mean, you had to be brave enough to build a new home after the wildfire, right?
yeah,
Um, brave enough to keep showing up every day through the cancer. So brave enough to get up, even though you had the pain of the neural Lyme. I've had friends who've experienced that, so I don't have a personal understanding, but I have an understanding of the impact that that really is. And and what I'm hearing is it's not I have to be brave. It's I just have to be brave enough to move through today and then the next day and the next day.
right. Well, and I think too, when I first collapsed with neuro Lyme, I mean, everything had changed. Everything was great. We were traveling internationally and everything else. And I had written my book, and all of a sudden, I get hit with another universal 2x4, and I was angry. I'm like, what? I mean, I gave up my faith for 2 months. I couldn't see to drive for 6 months. My spatial was off. I thought I was going crazy. I had panic that was through the roof. I was sick as a dog, and I was dying at one point. And so I was angry. I was like, look, I'm doing everything you're telling me to, and this is happening. What's this about? So when life happens for you, because it always does, even though it doesn't feel like
Mm,
it, you get to give yourself permission to hit walls, to struggle, to have the dark night of the soul, to reach out, to question yourself. Because let me tell you, life is messy sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to show up here and say, oh, I had neuroalignment. I was great right off the bat. Heck no, I fell apart. If I didn't have Joe, I don't know where I'd be right now. So, and then after about 2 months, there's a point where you can either decide to just give it up, give in, fold, crumble, collapse, that's it, I'm done. Or you can say, hell no, I'm getting up and I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for my life. And I don't like the word fight because fight feels like resistance. But
Right.
you know what I mean?
And
It's an energy of, hey, I'm in the game,
it's more like claiming your life,
Yeah, I love that word. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing too is in the claiming, it is I'm claiming life, but I'm not claiming that life has to be a specific way, right? Which is just like what you've been talking about with the creativity.
Yeah. I mean, we'd like it to be, but it's just not that way. We have
No.
some cockamamie idea that, even when I wrote my book, I was in this miracle space I talk about, and I really was. It was like heaven on earth. I'd never experienced anything like it. Things were falling in my lap. I was like driving down the road, and I felt this God energy, and I'd cry, and I'd stop, and I had this idea. I had this really stupid idea, my human moment, right? Of, oh my God, my life has changed forever. Like I'm going to live in this space forever. But oops, wait a minute. We're a 3D human being. We're still having this experience, right? So we got to have this experience. When we die, maybe that's the other experience we'll have all the time. But the problem is that most people think that like that miracle space, all of a sudden it went away, but it doesn't go away. You are a miracle. Your life is a miracle. The fact that every night I go out and look at the stars and I think, oh my God, I live on a ball in outer space. What? Trying to wrap my head around that. Everything is a miracle. So no, the miracle doesn't go away. You go away. You leave the miracle. And
Yeah.
I don't know, you have to keep that underlying knowing that you're a miracle, you're here for a reason, you can do this. There's this thing called everyday bravery. Somebody interviewed me just recently. We were talking about what bravery means, how it means to be brave. And again, there are brave things people do, like heroes, or people,
Hmm.
firemen, or whatever. There are people that do amazing acts of heroism. I'm talking about everyday bravery, which is be brave enough for just for today. Everybody's life is hard.
Yeah.
You have to rise to the occasion, just one moment at a time.
Keep showing up. And what I'm also hearing with what you've been sharing is that's again where the creativity comes in, because it sounds to me like that's our access to that miracle space.
It is. Well, and following your intuition, I talked about this, I'm a too many times over intuitive who, kind of, told my intuition to go away years ago. I didn't want to really listen to it until I had an experience with my daughter that could have been dangerous for her. And then I
Hmm.
started listening. I started going, uh-oh, this is real, whatever it is. Like when you're driving down the freeway and you're supposed to get off that exit and you don't, and then you get stuck in an accident or whatever. So I really believe that living by your intuition, if you don't know what that means, even just starting to hear that small voice inside, looking at those little synchronicities, those things that are orchestrated, there's just people that show up, things that happen that you're like, where'd they come from? That's your intuition. That's your inner self, your higher self. That's the universe, because that's your guidance system. And that's really how I've been living my life. And like when I follow that, that's when I got led to being super creative with this new medium. It's all my intuition, all of it. And when you start to play with it and be in cahoots with it and love it and talk to it and have a relationship with it, it serves you on a greater level. And if you want to make money and if you want to serve the world, you want to do all these things, you got to be
Hmm.
your higher guidance, because I really believe I was put here by that energy, whatever you want to call it, the divine, God, the universe, whatever it is to you. I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory. Sorry. I've seen too many things that just say, and no way. I believe that we were put here by that power, and I believe that we can access that power. It's within us. And that's what really makes us strong.
That always reminds me of I'm a drop in the ocean, and
Right?
I am no less the ocean than every other drop that's in there.
Absolutely. Yep.
right?
I
So,
used to liken it to that and the rays of the sun. I'm one of the rays of the sun, you know,
mm,
pieces of that. And I think it's remembering who we are. Now, not everybody's going to do it. I mean, looking at these times, these chaotic times, there are a lot of people who are so far from who they really are. And it's sad, but I think it's part of the process. I believe I'm a light worker. I know you are, Terry. We're here to help the planet evolve. And so I believe that creativity, the feminine energy, that beautiful energy of high vibration is what's coming in on a greater level. I see so many people doing art now that haven't been, and I didn't even know they're friends of mine or whatever. And all of a sudden they're painting these gorgeous pictures, and I'm like, that's so cool. I'm buzzing when I say it, because that's what's gonna uplift us and open us so that we're ready for whatever's next. That's my
pick up I love it. Pick up your creativity and dive into that flow. I mean, I know one of our listeners, Denise, was talking about being creative with repurposing and refinishing furniture, right? And I love watching stuff like that. I love watching in the different flow paintings and stuff like that, because I love color, right? And
me too.
I'm not good enough to do, the realistic paintings and stuff like that. And it doesn't jazz me the same way. I'm sure if it jazzed me, I'd find a way and I'd
Right.
practice and I would be doing it and stuff. But I think that's the biggest thing is what what makes you play, right? What makes you play? Like if it's Play-Doh, get out the Play-Doh.
So on the same track, I was going to say, I used to love to play with Play-Doh, and they used to have those little factories, when you'd pump out little stars and things like that, and then you squish them all up. And I thought, I love that. I still love that stuff. Silly putty. Did you ever do that? Put it on the newspaper.
Yep.
You got the print. I'm giving my age away all the time, even when I don't say what I am. But anything that's like, I call it stupid fun, but it's kind of stuff that we would do as kids that we don't judge it. Nobody judges it. We just go out and do it because it's just silly fun. So yes, you can do absolutely anything. And by the way, I just want to tell you, you are worthy and capable of, you could absolutely paint anything you wanted to. You really could. Just want to share that with you. But if it doesn't light you up, don't do it.
Well, I think that's what it comes to is what feels like the play, what feels creative, and you really emphasized that our feelings are really the guidance that we get to use
Yes.
when it comes to this kind of stuff. So we are at the end of our time. That went by so incredibly fast, Lisa. This was amazing. I want to make sure though that our listeners get an opportunity to connect with you. What is the best way for our listeners to connect with you?
Well, I think my website's still up. I just transferred it to a new server because I just had somebody redo my website 6 months ago, and now I'm redoing everything again. It's lisaawinston.com because Lisa Winston is a bodybuilder and she took my URL. So it's lisaawinston.com.
Hey, Lisas are builders. They're builders of all ways, right?
I know, right? I can buy it for $859. No, so I'm Lisa A. Winston. You can find me there. You can still always check out mindsetresettv.com. And then I'm also on
Mm.
social media all over the place. Returningpointbook.com. You can read about that. Although I love it. I absolutely love it, but I feel like it's kind of old energy and there's new stuff coming in. So, yeah, I'm all over the place. You can find me pretty easily.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time, Lisa. I loved this.
Me
This
too.
was amazing. So,
I love you. I love Terry, and I am so honored and grateful to kick this off with you. So thank you again. And this is such a great subject and really important topic. So thank you for letting me share that.
I think that creativity is a brilliant way to start out Heartpreneur TV.
Yay, me too.
Okay. You have a brilliant day. Thank you for those of you who showed up and shared with us. We truly appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. We have another special guest. Have a great day.
Bye.